So welcome to Scrapbook Live. I am Megan Jacks and I am here. It's October 24th and I have a layout for you today from the Creative Memories blog. Just as a quick reminder, if you're watching this on Facebook and you're catching the live, there is a link in the comments that will take you to my blog where you can get the handout. If you are watching this on YouTube or watching the recording, pretty much if you're watching it on YouTube, if you're watching on your mobile device, you'll be able to click on the description, or your computer, you can click on the description and that's going to take you to where I have the link to go to the handout. If you're catching this on a screen like your TV and you can't access that description part, just know that almost all of my Scrapbook Live videos do have links to handouts that you can print out, add to your idea binder, use them if you need that written thing. So just note that if you're watching this on a screen that does not let you access the description of the video, that's where those links are hiding. You'll want to come back to it on your mobile device or your computer so you can grab the link to go to my blog, go to meganjacks.com, click on the Scrapbook Live links, and it'll take you to all of those past episodes. Okay. So I'm going to just go ahead and switch over to my overhead camera and show you what we have going. So we have a project from the Creative Memories blog. It is this one here made with the super cute On the Mend collection. I'm not sure how many of you got that. It's one of those kind of like niche, you're gonna need it at some point collections, and it's super cute. I love kind of like those bold colors in there with the reds and the peaches and the island waters and the browns. Just a really lovely color palette. However, I wanted to do a different layout with this, and I had Cody's first day of school photos. And it's hard to believe we are already through the entire first quarter, but this is my kiddo on the first day of school, first day of 5th grade. Hard to believe he's getting that old. And I thought that it would be perfect to use for this. And when I mean I thought it would be perfect, the number of photos that I had and their orientation worked out perfect for this. Now, one thing to note when you're looking at this layout and thinking, Megan, I don't have any vertical photos. Well, rotate. Now we've got more horizontal photos in play. You're thinking, Megan, I can't cut my photos down to make this work. I don't have small photos. Well, something to keep in mind is you have two areas here for 4x6s. These two it's basically like you're cutting a mat in half, the 4.5 by 6.5 inch mat. So where they show small photos, you can easily work in a 4x6 photo here and a 4x6 photo here. If you need more space, you can make a double page, or you can use some peekaboo pockets. So that's, if you need to add more to this, there are some ways to do that. I will be kind of sticking a little more true to their overall orientation. I have a couple of modifications I've made with my photos simply because I couldn't get one of the photos small enough, and I thought that was okay. I'll show you the modification I'm going to do here in just a second. So my layout here, I am going to be using the back to school collection. I know we have a really fun school days collection, but I've kind of committed to using back to school for my kids' school albums. And so I'm going to just keep going with back to school. I picked a paper here. It has these word boxes on it. On the reverse side is kind of that composition notebook, but in the green. And I'm going to be using this as my base paper. So the blog directions, they want you to start off with your designer paper, and then you cut another piece of paper to fit here on this. You would set it down right here. It would be 8.5 wide by 12 long. Now I want to use this reverse side. I actually want to use these two pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this at 8.5 inches, and I'm going to do a paper weld. So if you're not sure what a paper weld is, I will show you that in a second. There's a couple different ways you can do a paper weld, but I do need to cut this at 8.5 inches. So I'm going to do 8.5. And then I can simply flip this paper over and you can see how I'm going to have that two-tone background just like they do in the sample. And I do need to go ahead and get that the paper weld made. And usually what I do for paper welds, I like to use a strip of paper. And I'm having a moment here where I'm struggling. I thought I had gotten some paper available to use, and I'm not seeing that I do. So I am just gonna grab, a piece of blue cardstock. And I'm gonna cut a narrow piece. I think I'm gonna use some blue cardstock. I'm having a moment, sorry. The reason I'm gonna go with blue is it won't show through, the white won't show through. I'm just gonna cut a fresh piece. Normally, I would recommend that you work with a scrap. I use the cover sheet a lot. I'm gonna cut this anywhere from 1/2 inch to 3/4. I'm gonna go ahead with the 3/4 inch. This is going to be my welding piece. So what I'll do is I'm gonna put some adhesive right down the middle. I'm going to be using some permanent adhesive, or just a regular tape runner. Just coming right down the middle of this sheet, or this strip. So I see Kim asking if I'm going to do the same thing for the other page. She did cut on there. I thought I was going to need to do a 2-page layout. And I'm going to tell you, Kim, I don't need a 2-page layout. So I feel kind of like I lied a little bit in my blog post, or I just thought I was going to go a different direction. And so I think if I were to do my second page with this, I would probably just do the same general layout, but I would rotate it. So I would have done, if I was taking the same sheet and cutting it, I would have cut the other one horizontally, like turned it on its side, because I do have a little bit of direction to this paper. You can see here my word boxes have a definite direction. So I would have just cut my paper the other direction, flip the sheet over, and that way I've got some pictures that would go vertical, and I would rotate it, and some pictures would go horizontal. So that's probably what I would recommend there. If you're just doing a basic rotate of that sketch rather than necessarily a mirror, I think that's what I would prefer visually, because then your circle or your shape elements would go on this side. Okay, so we've got the base page kind of made. We just pieced it together from one piece. I like that method of paper welding. You can also use tape chips. You use the tape chips on the reverse side. You would have flipped it over, butted your papers next to each other, and then come in with those tape chips. I just like this paper weld a little bit more. I don't think it matters too much, especially if you're putting it right in an album right away. So next up, they want us to create they use Island Waters in here. They want to create that large mat that's over on the left side of the page. I am using cranberry. I decided to use cranberry because I started picking out all of my colors of things I wanted to use. And the back to school collection is all about the primary colors. I also knew I was going to be working a little bit with this border. I made this border a couple years ago when we did some back to school borders, and I hadn't used it. And so I wanted to kind of pull it apart a little bit and use it here in this layout. And so I was thinking, okay, what kind of colors do I have in here? And I have the cranberries of the apple, and I thought that would be a nice piece to use there. So I've got that piece in place. Then it was a little bit of thinking about, what other elements. I am going to use this mat as one of my mats. I'm going to put one picture over here, because you use 2 of the 4.5 by 6.5 inch mats. So 2 variety mats. And you can cut your variety mats apart into their 4 by 3 or roughly 3 by 4 sections. It's like 3.25 by 4.5. You would cut this in half. You would have one section over here, and then you can flip the other side over if you wanted to have a different mat. That would have been pretty awesome. I did that here with this black mat. I'm going to use the black composition, but the other side I'm going to flip over. It's actually reversed. And I'm going to expose this side that has, you can see here, it has kind of like these pencils and so forth on there. I liked that little detail. And it's got some area for journaling or a title, depending on what I want to do. So these pieces are going to be put in like such. So that's really how you get these 4 different quadrants, is cutting apart the variety mat, the large 4.5 by 6.5 inch variety mat. that is what I was talking about. If you needed to put a 4x6 here, you could do two 4x6 horizontals. Let me show you. Let me grab a couple of pictures to show you what they would look like. You could come in with a 4x6 here. If you're thinking, Megan, I do not like to cut my pictures down so small, they just don't work. You could come in here like such. And then you'd be able to come in with a second 4x6. Now, I don't know that I would probably do both black of the composition notebook here. It's going to work when I do my layout because I'm not using black on both sides, but you can see we can get 3 4x6s on here, no problem. And we can easily peekaboo one of these two with no problem. Now, looking here, what I need to do though, is I do want to use the smaller photos. I have already cut some down to size. I'm going to flip this piece back over. I'm going to go ahead and adhere some things in place. They're going to start annoying me by not staying where I want them to stay. You don't have a very big margin here. It's 1/8 of an inch matte on this cranberry. So it's not a lot of cranberry that's going to pop. It's just a little bit, just a hint. If you needed to, you can, I'm having all sorts of issues now because my tape runner, oh my word, guys, I am so unorganized today. Of all times for my tape runner to run out, it's completely empty and I don't have a new one in here with me, but I do have my regular adhesive, so I can use that. Even on the regular, on those jumbos, I've got to check it beforehand. Okay, there we go. So those are my bottom ones. This top one, I'm going to actually be able to cut it in half. I'm going to use my personal trimmer to do that, the photo trimmer. I'm going to cut it at 3 1/4. And I think it's going to sit up here like such. I have some little photos I've trimmed down, but this photo I wasn't able to get as small as I wanted to. So I cut it the same size as my mat. It's 3 1/4 inch wide by 4 1/2 inch tall. And so it can sit up here just like that. It actually replaces one of my small mats with using that slightly larger photo. This photo sits in here as such. And then down here, I have just another picture. I will be honest with you, this picture may get replaced. I have a photo of him getting on the bus. I just didn't, I thought I had it printed and apparently I don't. And I didn't take the time today to reprint it on my printer. So I'm gonna have to do that. But for today, I will use that smaller photo. Getting these all put into place. I do see the question that the jumbo refill, is the jumbo refill out of stock? I knew the case is out of stock. I am using like another brand's thing that holds Creative Memories refills. So I guess that's good to know that it's out of stock, so I don't go try to order it. I have a couple in my inventory. I can at least replace the one I have. Okay, so there's my photos. And again, I am pretty much sticking with their suggestions. Now it's time to think about how I want to do the bottom, because this is kind of the fun feature of this, these circles. They've come in here at the bottom. There were a lot of border details that were available for the on the men collection. And so they use all the border details. Super cute idea. What I decided to do is I'm looking at this color. I'm trying to think, how do I want to balance this out? I need a color that can come down here and sit and be the base of those circles. I decided to go with black. I felt like my options were I could come in with the yellow. I think I used Buttercup for this. It's kind of more of a traditional, just elementary yellow without being too intense. But I wanted to put this piece on there, and I did not want it to blend in. I wanted to be able to see it. So I was like, I don't want to use yellow. I didn't want to use blue. I'm already using blue. I'm already using red. So what I decided to go with, I decided to pick up on the black. The blue would blend in too much to this. So I just felt the colors that I was going to go ahead and use black. So I ended up cutting them out of shimmer, because why use regular cardstock when you can use shimmer? So to do that, let me show you how I did this. I mean, it's real simple. You just use scraps of paper. I used what I had in my black and white scrap bin. And you use circle number 2, which is the medium circle, and we're going to use the red blade on the inside track. And we need 5 of them. 5 of them will fit across the bottom of here if you have them all touching. So we're going to cut 5 of these. I'm going to show you how to do one. I know most of you will know. Red blade inside track. Just go all the way around. Grab that piece out. And you're going to need 5 of them. And like I said, they sit right along the bottom. This piece up here does get tucked up kind of tall towards the top. There's not a lot of space. We have a little more space over on the left side, but it's pretty much tucked up there. And we need 5 of these to go across. So there's 1, 2, and I already have some done, because you know me, I'm going to have some done already. 4, and 5. And these literally have to touch each other. It makes spacing real easy because they are literally touching each other. And they're pretty much touching the bottom too. So I'm going to go ahead and put my pieces down. You can get them touching the left side edge there, pretty much touching the bottom, and then just put them in there. After this, it was a little bit of thinking about how I wanted to do the interior circles. They use Island Water cardstock, and they cut 5 of the Island Water cardstock using the same blade, or excuse me, the same template, the same circle number 2, that medium circle. And then they use the green blade on the inside track to cut some Island Water cardstock. And then they layered their borders on. You want to put your borders on before you put your circles on. You need to cut your circles with your green blade on the inside track. So let me do that. Let me show you. Green blade inside track. I decided all of my circles are going to have this notebook paper on it, this lined. I wanted something with a little bit of interest, but I didn't want it to be too distracting. And I thought the notebook paper was fine. So I come up here. I don't have to worry about lining anything up. Good thing about circles, I can rotate them as needed. I am just going to go ahead, use green blade inside track. And now here is where you want to take the time. I'm not just going to put these down here. I can't just put them down. I've got to add my border or my stickers or my embellishment, anything that I want to have that circular edge to be inside this circle. I need to put it on now because I got to trim it with my scissors before actually putting it down. So this border, I want this border to sit on here, this little snippet of a border. I want it to sit on here about, like such. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down or adhere this in. I want to center it top to bottom and get it on here as straight as possible. And now what I need to do is I need to use my scissors and I need to trim around. I'm going to trim around the back side. Let me find my glasses. Can hardly see anymore up close. I think the weirdest thing about needing the readers is I feel like this is like I have to put my readers on even to eat. I'm not sure what it is psychologically about my food being slightly out of focus. It's not like I'm so blind I can't see what's on my plate. It's just psychologically I need to be able to see, every bit of rice or the vegetables all need to have crisp outlines. But you just go around after you get your border details on there, whatever you're using. You can see here I pulled apart part of my border. I didn't want to use the whole border. I'll admit I tried to cut it. It didn't work with the circle. It had too many layers to that. But so I sliced it off and I was able to get 2 sections out of it. And once you have that, you're ready to go ahead and adhere it on. So that one's gonna go like such. And I have already made some pieces here. I already made another one. And so that's ready to sit on here. Those are gonna go on very straight. Now I have another one I just made with stickers. You don't need to use borders. Use whatever works for you. Think of them as little embellishment clusters. It just depends on the collection you're using. On the Men had a lot of border elements because it did include some layered borders, whereas the Back to School has a lot of embellishments and a lot of stickers. It does have borders, stickers, border stickers, but I thought this was fun. Just using, I've got that apple carrying over a clock. I'm gonna put that on. And then I have another one where I used the ABC sticker. But you can see what I did for this sticker is I came in and I have the ABC over here, and then I cut the end off and using XYZ, partly because I wanted the red apple in there, because again, I have the red apple in other places. So these all just get put on and centered. One thing you can do is, depending on your layout, you could also consider using just patterned paper down here. So if you've got a collection that has some more exciting paper, some more very high contrast, a lot of design to them, or even if it doesn't, even if it's more subtle, you don't have to necessarily use borders and stickers. You can come across the bottom and do whatever you would like to do to just give yourself some little accents down at the bottom. Okay, so here we go. Now I do have one last one. I will be honest, I thought I had planned this one out, but I don't think I did. I have the option, I think what I had planned here is I have the option to have a little bit of journaling space. I do have some space up here, but I think I'm going to do a pretty big title. So if I wanted to come down here with this one, I'm going to put this on. I'm going to have it go horizontal, which allows me to treat it like a journal box, a small one. I can't write much. I could probably write maybe who his teacher is, or just work, you know, Cody's excited to start another year of school. Okay, so now this is how things are shaping up. I'm starting to see all of the elements come together. One element that I'm missing is up here at the top, and they just use another one of the borders out of the collection. And here's what I got. I got the other half of my border. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to come in here like this. I do have to decide whether is this going to pop up above it. Do I want the whole thing? Right? So let me see here. Let me measure. I'm going to put this piece down. It needs to get locked into place. Lock that one into place. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my trimmer and just chop this off. I don't know exactly how much I need, but I know I don't need all of this residual. I'm going to chop it. I know I don't need more than 6 inches. That is plenty. I'll probably slide it under here a little bit because I want to get an opinion. Like, what do you guys think? Should I leave it with the entire border up there? I love that rainbow print. And then come in like such. I won't have any journaling at the top. Now, to complete this, to give you the full look, I feel like I need to give you the full look. I have, out of the little, remember the little smile from the die cut embossing? I did one of those. I thought that was cute to just put right there. I can't say that Cody was overly excited to start school, but we're zipping our way right through it. And then I come in with my die cut letters, and it's going to say 5th grade. And I feel like I have to have this in place because I want you to be able to kind of get an idea for the overall vibe. Now, grade is kind of wide. This letter set has very rounded letters. So G and E are very rounded, and even the D. So fifth grade. And then I'm going to come in and use the sans serif stickers. It's going to say 24, 25. Now, my other option is to come down here and I could do, or excuse me, 25, 26. I could do, 25-26. So I've got some options. I don't know how much I really need to journal simply because it's pretty obvious what this is. Well, maybe not. Maybe this should say first day of school down here. There's a sticker in the collection in the back to school collection that says something about first day of school. I need to double check that the fourth grade first day of school doesn't say I didn't use that sticker on the first day of school. I mean, let's be honest, you can only use it so many times. Kim, your suggestion of a teacher's name is a great idea. That would definitely be something I could put on there. So I have to, I'm trying to think his teacher's, I would have to handwrite her name because her name is pretty long. And thinking of the number of letters, it's going to have to be on there. So we will, and I didn't get a picture of him with his teacher. I need to do that. I was bad about that last year. We got a picture of Cody with his fourth grade teacher at the beginning of fifth grade on the Meet the Teacher night. But pretty much this is here where I'm going. I think I needed to, do you guys like that? Up or down. This is a completely different font. That's my other option. I can give myself more space if I get the 5 out of, or should I say fifth grade? How do you guys do you like it with the number, do you think? Or if I write out the word fifth, I could, oh, I know what maybe I'll do is I'll do a 5 in this in a different color. They could sit back behind there and then it comes in with a 5th. I'll play around with that a little bit. I think I want to get a little bit of, play with that just a little bit more for the piece. I want to have a little bit more space down here to be able to either journal here if I want to put his teacher's name or something down here. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit more. But what do you guys think up here? This leaving that as is, or let me show you. I can peel this apart and I can come in just with that. Oh, I kind of like, I don't know. What are you guys thinking? I almost like it without quite so much there. It's a little bit, maybe not so heavy up in that corner. It was getting a little heavy up there, if you know what I mean. We'll see. I'm waiting. I have to wait like 20, 30 seconds for you guys to actually get to see what I just did. Oh, Susan likes the full border. We'll see what you guys are. I'm waiting for a few more opinions to pop in. Without the other way, Kim's saying she wants it the other way. Maybe I might take pity on Kim since she was so denied. So denied the Mariners. There you guys. Like that. The whole thing. That's you guys saying the whole thing. I agree. We'll go with that. Okay. I will stick with that. So pretty much this is how the layout is going to go. It's going to look. I do need to come in here and make some decisions. What am I going to do in this area? I'm going to play around with it just a little bit more. And then down here, whether I'm going to do some journaling, there are more stickers I could use. There's lots of stickers, lots of embellishments that were part of back to school. So I've got some options there. Now, as I mentioned before, when you're thinking of doing your 2-page layout, you can take this and rotate it to the side. Everything that I have here could have been flipped. We could easily come in with some vertical photos. It's going to be hard for you guys to get that view. And here would be a horizontal photo. And all of these things rotated. And the border, you kind of have to play with that a little bit. It just kind of, figure out what you want to do. But this is what the layout would look like if you were just to shift some things around. So don't be scared if you don't have photos that work specifically. Think of it just like a sketch, rotate. Where you have small photos, think about using larger photos, things like that. So you just play around with this. So Janine is asking, can I think of other collections that might work with this? I'm going to be honest with you. Any collection, in my opinion, can do this. Sometimes it comes down to what, how decorative do you want to be with your elements down here? If you want to be really decorative, you will need to have a collection that does have those components to it. So you could come in with a Croptoberfest if you wanted to do the mums. You've got the elements there. You've got some stickers that you could come across the top. You've got the mum punches. You've got some embellishments that if you got the customer bundle, there's some options in there. But pretty much any collection, I can't think of any that wouldn't. We think, oh, but I don't have mats for that collection. That's okay. This could be just done with cardstock. You don't need to have mats. You just need to have the sizes. That's kind of where you go back to. So I would definitely say any of the collections, you just make the colors work. You could do this entire layout with just cardstock. Cardstock and punches, your BMCs, because you can see down here, when I lacked a border element, I made one, or I used one I had already made. So I do see a question about what size is the circle. The outer circle here at the bottom where you see in the black, that is the medium circle. So it's the middle circle, circle number 2, with the red blade on the outside track. And then you want to have an inner circle, which becomes kind of that mat, that anchor point for your embellishments, and you're going to use the red blade. Here, or excuse me, the green blade. Red blade to make the larger circle, green blade to make the middle circle. If you needed to come in even smaller, you could come in with the blue blade on this circle number 2 and get yourself a 3-layered part there. So asking for inches. Oh, you want inches. Okay, I probably need to have that. Inches, let me see. The outside circle is about 2 3/8 of an inch. And the inner circle is about 2 1/8. Those are the inches there. So if you're trying to make it without the custom cutting system, whether you're doing it digitally or don't have the custom cutting system. But this gets tucked in. I'm going to just finish up some of these pieces. And I'll work a little bit on getting these final things in place. Tuck that in there. I probably could come in. Oh, my border is misbehaving. Get that lined back up. Tuck it in. And then we'll be all set with this piece. With this part, I just have a little bit of details to finish up for the title and that last circle down here. But here's how we're looking. Looks pretty good. All right. So that was a pretty quick episode. I had a lot done, of course, trying to kind of dry fit everything together ahead of time so I know what I'm doing. I don't like to make these rash decisions on camera. So it was good to have that figured out. I will be back next week with, I think, some borders. I'm not sure yet. I need to ask you guys, do we want to do Halloween borders? Do we want to, are you guys ready for Christmas borders? I showed those 3 borders using the Angel Chain BMC. We could do those borders on Friday, this upcoming Friday on the 31st. Or if you're in the mood more for Halloween, I can dig up some stuff and see about, we can put some Halloween borders together. So just kind of put in the comments here of what you think you would like to do. And then I'll let that be the guide for what happens next week. If we do not do the angel borders next week, don't fear, we will circle around to those probably though closer to the end of November, that might be when we do those, which I think the last Friday in November is actually the day after Thanksgiving. So if that one may end up having to be a pre-recorded one. No, Halloween. There's some people that are tired of Halloween. I do know somebody with some Thanksgiving borders, so maybe some fall. We'll see. I'm looking people just saying more borders for Thanksgiving, Christmas borders, Halloween. I don't know. Maybe I'll put a poll up in the group, the Scrapbooking with Megan, and we can see whether or not what people want to see for Scrapbook Live. So yeah, Lori's saying either the borders for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Have to see Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll do a medley of borders. I don't know. We'll see. I'll figure it out. I got to look and see what some options would be, and to see what our for Thanksgiving. I have pumpkin stuff. I mean, not anything that's current, but we do have some pumpkin stuff and from days past. So we'll see. And so yeah, that Scrapbook Live will be next week. We will have, we'll do borders for sure. And then let's see, I'm trying to think what else is coming up. Oh, the secret box is here. You guys are going to want to get that ordered. It's listed as hot with Creative Memories. I would say that you definitely want to probably try to get it ordered in, if you want box number 5, if you've already ordered box 1 through 3, don't delay. Just get box 4 ordered, right? You know you're going to want it. There's no new product coming out until the beginning of November. So I don't know what's going to happen with the box, the number of boxes that we have between now and when the November release happens. So my suggestion is just go ahead and get it ordered. It's off your list of things to do. If you're uncertain about the box, you can reach out to me. I will have some photos here soon. I have some photos I can share with you. I don't have photos that I've taken. They were sent to me by Tessa. So I can share those with you, or I can share the photos after I take them. I did get my box. It's very pretty. It's very on. The marketing photo is spot on with it. So if that's speaking to you, you're going to want the box for sure. And then that secret box will be it'll be opened prior to the November virtual crop, which will start the second Friday of November, which I believe is going to be the 14th. It's like the latest possible Friday we can have for a virtual crop. And then beyond that, I think that's all I've got for you guys. I'll have this video ready to go. It'll be posted to YouTube later if you came in kind of late. And yeah. So I hope everybody has a fantastic Friday and a fantastic weekend. Go Blue Jays. And for you Dodger fans, I hope that your dreams are dashed and crumbled into the ground. I know that's kind of harsh. I hope it's a good game. I really hope it is. I hope they come out, both teams do well. I hope all the teams do well for any sport that you're cheering for, and go from there. So I see a couple questions. The hint for the secret box, those are on the marketing photos. So if you go to my Facebook page, you can scroll down a little bit and you should, I think I shared the marketing meme for that shows what it is. It's kind of got browns, texture-y to it, with some line art type stuff in there. So it's all good. Yeah, not Dodgers. I think Deborah might be a Cubs fan, maybe. Okay, everybody take care. I will see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining me today.